Hey everyone, hi. My name is Jatan and I'm one of the co-founders of Perfora, a brand that is trying to reimagine and upgrade your oral care experience. We don't do anything fancy. We sell toothpaste and toothbrushes, very basic stuff, mundane stuff that we all do every single day. The moment we wake up, we brush our teeth. And that is the kind of problem that we wanted to solve. Uh, I'll walk you through our journey a little bit and how have we approached building a brand in a very tough category, which is oral care. So I'll give you a quick backdrop about myself because that is something that's not part of the presentation. And I can, like, till the time we are fixing this, I can talk a little bit about my journey. So I come from a very small town. It's called Balarpur. It's located on the border of Maharashtra and Telangana. That's where I grew up. Being a small town guy, I've always had stage fear. So I'm fairly nervous speaking in front of this audience. And I don't know if I'll be able to do a good job. But a few years ago, I was a part of a similar audience, and I thought, will I ever get here? And if I get here on the other side of the stage, will I be able to speak? So today is the litmus test. So let's see how this goes. But to sort of give you a snapshot, we started this company in 2021. I met my co-founder on a train journey called Jagriti Yatra. So it's a fairly romantic business story, not really a love story that happened between the two of us. And that's how we came together 5 years later and started building a company. So we met in 2016. We worked together for a while at a different company where I was also working. And we continue to jam and discuss ideas and exchange notes and be very passionate about consumer brands in general, entrepreneurship in general. And that's how we sort of started putting our thoughts together in 2020 and launched the brand in August of 2021. This is also me, by the way, a few years ago. I know things have changed quite a bit, but that is what entrepreneurship does to you. More stress, a lot of under eye swelling, dark circles. That's all part and parcel of the game. Uh, but the idea was fairly simple. We started when we looked at oral care as a category. It was boring. It was low involvement. It was it was very monotonous. It was ineffective. There was no visual appeal. I like being some. I live in Gurgaon now, so being someone who had access to the best of products in supermarkets and via different e-commerce websites, and I had upgraded my consumption across different categories. For example, I consume a lot of coffee, but I was not consuming the regular Nescafe or a brew, but I was consuming from a newer age brand. Similarly, I wasn't using a face wash of a large company like a Nivea, etc. But I had moved to a relatively young brand that was trying to redefine the category in one way or the other. But when I looked at oral care one morning, I realized, why is oral care so boring? Why is my toothpaste tube still red, white in color? Why is my toothbrush white in color? Why is there no excitement? How can I really wake up with an excitement and say, okay, hey, I want to brush every morning. I want to brush every evening. I want to take care of my oral hygiene. So that wasn't happening. And that is how the conversation started. We spoke to a lot of customers, not really customers, but people who were part of our target audience before launching the brand. We spoke to about 400 odd consumers, and two clear insights came out of those conversations. One, there was a massive lack of awareness around oral hygiene. People didn't know what is the right technique to brush. People didn't know what is the right ingredients that should be a part of their toothpaste. People didn't know what is flossing as a concept. And second, people were not excited. People were like, hey, this is very monotonous. I'll brush for 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute, depending upon my mood, and that's it. I don't want to be more involved in this category than just brushing for a minute in the morning. I'll talk a little bit about our early challenges when we were starting out. One of the things that people told us very earlier on that we wanted to launch with an electric toothbrush, a better looking product with a much superior technology and much better design. And that's how we launched the brand. And people started telling us, okay, hey, are you mad that you're going to sell electric toothbrush online? That is not feasible. People would sort of joke around and take us very lightly when we would say, okay, hey, we want to build a large and scalable business in the oral care category, primarily going digital first. And people would say, okay, hey, if you're able to sell even 10 toothbrushes, come back and I'll buy 10 more from you because I don't believe in you. I don't believe what you're saying is possible at all. So it was a very gigantic sort of a task to make people buy into our story, make people believe into our story. And that is what was also very exciting and challenging for us. People didn't, like I spoke earlier on, people didn't really care what was going into their toothpaste. They didn't really have any idea. And I am 200% sure that most of you here don't know the 10 ingredients that go in your toothpaste, right? You just continue to brush mindlessly because that's how the norm is. That's how the process is. So, I think that's how we started, challenging the norm that, okay, hey, we are going to create a product that's better for you, that's much superior for you, and we're going to sort of tell people how to brush better, how to take good care of their oral health and oral hygiene. So that's how the journey began. There were a lot of challenges in the early part of our story. When we launched, we didn't have the access to Meta as a platform. There were some RBI guidelines that were messing up with the payment system, so we couldn't run ads for the very first month. We couldn't sort of understand how should we go about communicating our narrative. We didn't know how should we sell the electric toothbrush online, right? What should we communicate so that people click on our ad, people land on our website, and people buy into our proposition. Another big bottleneck for us was a high CAC, high customer acquisition cost, because we were selling one product, and that, to make that purchase happen, we were spending a lot of money. And these were very alarming situations for us, because we were like, okay, hey, we're selling a product for 1,200 rupees and we are paying 1,400 rupees to acquire a customer, which is not making sense, which is sort of not adding up. So we have to figure out a way which can help us scale the business better. Here's a quick question for you. I would love for you guys to scan and vote, and then we can quickly take a look at the results, and I can talk about how we think about the most significant challenge in this category. Moving on, I think the question that we always think about at Perfora, and which is a very relevant question for all of us, is how can we get more mind share from the consumers, right? What can we do differently which can help us sort of get more recall in a consumer's mind? And that's been one thing that we've been focusing on from the very early days from a brand standpoint. We have done a lot of things to build more mind share, right? Starting from writing newsletters every Sunday where we would talk about not our products, not sales, nothing transactional, but we'll just tell them stories about who we are, what are we trying to do differently, what is that excites us, what is our motivation, etc., etc. So all those things we would do, and we initially started getting very positive response. Okay, hey, this looks interesting. This is the type of content that I haven't seen or come across in my life, and I would want to read more from this brand. Similarly was the case with engaging our customers. I very clearly remember the first 1,000-odd customers that we would have had on our website, and these 1,000 customers who had not even had an entire transaction. Some of them dropped off at an abandoned checkout level. We would call each and every one of them and understand, okay, hey, if you've bought, why have you bought? And if you've not bought, why haven't you bought? And what is the challenge that you're facing? And those conversations gave us a lot of insight into what we should be doing better as a brand. How can we really connect with the customer? And that is how one of the challenges that I had listed in the previous slides on how to articulate our proposition better got resolved over a period of time. Very interestingly, you guys have voted here, which I see is constantly fluctuating between building brand awareness and trust and identifying unique product differentiators. From my viewpoint, I believe the one that you've voted the most for is the right one, because building awareness and trust in a super crowded category like oral care is a very painful task. In our category, toothpaste as a word is synonymous with another brand which is called Colgate. Toothbrush as a word is synonymous with another brand called Oral-B. So we have to really, really stand out and create that awareness and trust amongst the consumers so that they can continue to believe in our narrative and story. The good part that we had identified when we had done those 1,000 odd calls was that most people or most competitors in our category didn't have a direct relationship with the customer out there. Most competitors in our category sell, via offline retail, via trade channels, etc., where we had the opportunity to really engage with these customers one-on-one and get those insights into place, which helped us, in building that connect, building that trust that, hey, here's this new company which is not going to go away with your money, right? Because when people purchase a product which is north of 1,000 rupees, they have a lot of apprehensions. I'm not sure if you guys have faced it, but I'm sure, when you look at India at a macro level, making a 1,000 rupee purchase on an unknown website in the very first go is a very hard task. It's not easy. Whenever you start a company, the questions that sort of very naturally come to any entrepreneur or a founder is that how do you balance long-term vision with, tactical precision? I am going to be very, very candid here. It's one of the toughest things to do, thinking long-term and executing day on day. Here at an everyday level, 7 days a week, you have to solve so many operational challenges. You have to sort of firefight on hundreds of things. In the middle of all those things, you also have to think through the long-term strategy and vision of your company, which is not easy. But what we are trying to do is that we're trying to ensure that our brand awareness is high, our products are effective and safe, and they're well priced and affordable so that we can continue to penetrate and create the go-to oral care brand for this generation of Indian consumers. If you are building a consumer brand, one of the most important things to remember is that the first word is consumer. So if you're building a customer-facing brand, you have to be obsessed with, getting your customers' priorities right. You have to make sure that you're delivering a exceptional experience to your customer so that he or she can continue to believe in your brand narrative, continue to sort of buy your products over and over again and help you sort of spread the word. For us, what we have incorporated internally, one thing is that we are very customer obsessed. So 90% of 90% of the customers who give us a negative rating or a critical feedback, we have a team, including myself. We would call them up and we would ask, okay, what went wrong? What can we do better? Why did you not like it? Do you think there is any scope for us to win you back as a customer? Is it a product problem? Is it an expectation problem? Is it a service problem? Because sometimes the delivery is late. Sometimes you had a query that couldn't be answered because our customer support representative was not available, or you had emailed us with respect to something and we unfortunately missed responding to it. So we go really deep in terms of resolving all our customer queries and feedback and try and sort of win that customer back by either offering a refund or a replacement product or offering a gift card for a future purchase. The second way we are very obsessed with customer is that anytime we are starting to work on a new product, we select a new cohort from our customers where we call them and understand what are their pain points with respect to one particular section of oral care, right? If you are going to introduce a teeth sensitivity toothpaste, we try and understand, do they have teeth sensitivity? If they have, what kind of products do they use? How effective are those products? How constantly are they using those products month over month? Do they like the flavor? Do they like the texture or not, right? So a lot of conversations happen before we start to work on a new product, and that is one of the reasons, we have a very high success rate for any new product launch that any product that we have launched in our journey so far. 9 out of 10 products we have managed to scale really well. They have continued to do well. Most of our products are rated not like have more than 4 ratings on any platform, whether that's Amazon or our own website. And third part is when you're building a digital first brand, you have to start thinking technology first as well. You have to start thinking how can you integrate technology in a very effective and efficient way which can make the user journey easy. We have tried to sort of integrate technology with respect to WhatsApp bots. We've tried to integrate technology with automated email responses. At the back end, we have created a structure, a ticketing structure, so that we can solve the customer queries in a more efficient manner. I think this is probably one of the slides that most people have been waiting for. What happens on Shark Tank, and is it worth going on Shark Tank with respect to a brand's growth journey or not? So there are two parts to it. One, from an experience standpoint, it's a once in a lifetime kind of an experience, because you get to experience so much, which there is highly unlikely that you wouldn't get such an experience in your lifetime, right? Being like pitching to the sharks on national television, the back-end preparation with respect to getting your pitch right, the nervousness and anxiety that happens when you're about to enter the tank. So there's a lot that happens like when you're about to pitch and during the 90 to 120 minutes of actual conversation that goes on with the sharks. The second part of the story is once you get featured on national television, does your life change? The honest answer to that is life does not really change, but it becomes very exciting, right? Because you start seeing a lot more validation for your product idea. You start seeing a lot more love for your brand. A lot of people start sharing their stories. Okay, when did they discover the brand? Have they tried it? Have they not tried it? Etc. Etc. But in all honesty, there is no magic that happens, right? There is a lot of science that goes behind scaling up any business, whether that business is on Shark Tank or not. For example, like in our case, when we were featured on Shark Tank, we were 18 months into our business. So we had built a very strong understanding of digital marketing so that we can capitalize on the humongous amount of traffic that we were going to witness on our brand website and on our channels like Amazon, etc. Second was, how are we going to think about content from a strategic standpoint and both from an execution standpoint, right? Because the hard reality is the Sony team will not give you enough headway to plan things out. We got to know that we will be, like our episode will be aired 48 hours in advance, right? So 48 hours is a very short period of time for you to think and act upon something. But since we had built those content capabilities in-house, we were able to execute decently well. I can still say that we could have done much, much, much better, but the final outcome was not that bad. Third, when you get that humongous amount of traffic on your website, not everyone will buy at the very first go, right? Most people will drop off because they've seen your brand on national television and they want to look at you, understand about your product proposition, etc. But you need to have fairly deep pockets to sort of retarget them and remarket your proposition to the same customers because they have suddenly become part of your funnel. And lastly, it also depends on what product category do you operate in. So we, like I said at the beginning, we sell toothpaste and toothbrushes, which majority of India uses. Of course, not majority of India doesn't use an electric toothbrush. They use manual toothbrushes, but it's a product that is familiar with the large part of India. But if we were selling, hypothetically, let's say, hair color, not many people color their hair. So the market and the proposition is limited to a certain very niche audience. In our case, since these were generic everyday use products, we got to see a very good kind of uplift in terms of our revenue numbers, in our growth. And last, the very important part of it is the emotion, right? India runs on emotion. So what is being shown on the national television becomes very, very important part of the kind of response you're going to see. Though there is limited that you can control because all the discretion lies at the end of the television channel, what they want to sort of present on the national television. But you can try and sort of be very mindful when you're pitching so that okay, hey, this is what this is likely going to be the narrative when your episode airs on Shark Tank. For us, retention has been a very core part of our DNA right from the very beginning. One of the ways we were retaining customers before we started using WebEngage for all things retention was manually calling up people, manually texting people, and understanding feedback from them, telling them, okay, hey, you bought on a certain date, you should buy again on a certain date because your toothpaste might be getting over, or you need to replace your toothbrush brush heads every 3 to 4 months. So it's probably time for you to make a repurchase again. But with the help of a very customer centric tool like WebEngage, we were able to create a lot of user journeys. So today, if you buy on our website, if you buy toothpaste on our website, 25 days later, you will receive an automated email and a message that will ask you or request you that, hey, your toothpaste might be getting over, it's time to stock up again, right? That creates a trigger in the mind of the customer who's already bought, okay, this is true, maybe 5 days aren't left, maybe my half of the pack is left, but this is a good nudge for that customer to be reminded of buying the product again so that he's well versed that I should go ahead and make this purchase. Similarly is the case with when people come to our website and they don't end up checking out in the very first go. We have a series of abandoned cart messages and emails in place where we try and sort of engage the potential customer in a slightly quirky way. We don't try and sort of, sell fear. We don't try and sell them that if you don't buy this, your teeth will fall or break down. We just try and sort of communicate in a slightly tongue-in-cheek way, like you see here on the screen, almost there, no pressure, just like you shouldn't use too much pressure while brushing your teeth, right? So it's the small nicks and knacks with respect to content that brings a smile on the face of a consumer, and he's like, okay, they're trying to be slightly they're trying to sort of communicate in a unconventional way, which again helps in creating that brand recall and to some extent making them purchase the product from our website. Another question for you guys. I would request you to quickly vote. I think this question does not deserve or merit a conversation up until now. From my viewpoint, I feel it's a combination of 2-3 things. It's not really one thing that will sort of help any business to effectively scale or enter new markets, because you have to adapt to local preferences of a new market that you're entering into. But it's also important to replicate what's working for you in your home market and take those learnings and apply it to a different market, because at least when you're building a consumer brand, consumers are pretty much same across, right? Their buying behaviors, their buying patterns, their buying psychology does not change drastically. Of course, it changes category to category, but for our category, what we sell here in India, we can pretty much sell in Singapore, we can pretty much sell the same products in UAE, we can pretty much sell the same products in US. Of course, we have to think through the communication bit a little, which is where the adapting to local preferences comes into play. But if you already have a bunch of strategies that have worked for you in the local market, in your home market, you can continue to sort of implement them and see what kind of results are you getting. What lies next for a young brand like ours, which is only 2 years old? So over the next 2 to 3 years, our primary focus is going to be on increasing our offline footprint. The goal from day zero has been to build a very large and scalable company which can impact and improve the oral hygiene of millions of Indian consumers. That will only happen when our products are easily accessible and available in a store closer to your residence or your office. So that is going to be the priority one for us. Second is going to be building brand awareness, because people, like I said earlier, people don't buy toothpaste, people buy Colgate. People don't buy toothbrush, they buy Oral-B. So for us, it's important that we create that awareness in the mind of consumers so that they know when they visit the shop next to buy their toothpaste or toothbrushes, they have Perfora as part of their consideration set. Third, we know today our products are relatively premiumly priced. So the goal over the next 2-3 years is also to make our products relatively more affordable and more value for money. Our goal has always been to deliver more value for money for every single product and for that a customer is buying, and for every single rupee that they are paying to us. And fourth would be adding more depth in our product portfolio, which is doing more different types of toothpaste, different types of toothbrushes, doing different types of mouthwashes, going deep in terms of flossing as a concept, etc., etc. A few things that have worked for us and which I have pretty much covered over the course of this presentation is one, being obsessed with customers, right? Even today, if there is an email from a customer and I'm up, I will try and answer that email in the next 15 to 20 minutes whenever that email is dropped, right? You guys can check it out. I typically stay up till about 1 and I wake up at 7. So between 1 and 7, you can expect there is going to be a delay in response, but anytime after that, if you drop me an email, you will receive a response within 15 to 20 minutes. And that's how we do things here at Perfora. Second, we've also run multiple experiments to figure out our own path and to figure out our own growth trajectory. And experiments could mean right from doing experiments on the product front, to doing experiments on the content front, to doing experiments in terms of channel distribution. Today, we also retail via 90 plus dentists in our country, which when you visit a dental clinic next, at least up north, you will find a Perfora product in a few clinics, and where the dentist would be recommending that, okay, hey, there is a plaque buildup that you have and you should use the Perfora water flosser, and here is how you can buy it. So there are multiple different types of experiments that we've always run in our journey, and some of those have really helped us in scaling the brand and the business. And lastly, we have also had a very strong inclination towards being standing out from the competition. Since we operate in a category which is so crowded and so cluttered, we wanted to stand out. The way our products look and feel, the way we communicate. We also offer name personalization as a feature on our website, where you have an opportunity to personalize your electric toothbrush. So all that has been a very important part of our DNA, to stand out, to be obsessed with the customers, and to continuously run experiments and keep learning from those experiments, and so that how can you build a large and scalable business. That's pretty much it from my end. If you guys have any questions, you can let me know. I'll also be available here offline, and I can catch up.
I really liked your the quirky messages which you send, because abandoned cart people generally don't want to log into a website and give their email ID or numbers, because that becomes a spammy thing. But this actually will want people to give their numbers more, because even though they don't want the product, they get some kind of a kick, you can say. So is there a way to scalably, create this? Because this was very beautiful. So is there a way to, scale this up?
I think the way to scale this up is only from a standpoint that you have to make the customer comfortable, right? What we do at our end, we track open rates, we track click-through rates and conversion rates for every user flow and journey, whether that we have across email and WhatsApp, right? And since we have a team that runs so many experiments, right? Like over a 3-month time period, they would probably run 5 to 6 experiments on the communication side, and they will see, okay, which one's working and which one's not working. The ones that is working is also giving you a signal that this probably is being opened up more and has a higher click-through rate. So this is something that people are liking, right? So we try and not function a lot based on our gut, on what we feel. We do things based on our gut, because early stage brand, you can't really have access to a lot of data. But you test things out, right? And you can test things out with a very small base, like even a 500 kind of a number, right? So we would also run experiments in different segmentation. People who have bought again, like people who have bought once, will not see this kind of message that was shown on the screen, right? Almost there's no pressure, because that communication is not relevant. But someone who's not bought even once, we would sort of communicate in a very quirky way, do you have cold teeth? Because it seems like you have cold feet while buying your products, right? So something on those lines continue to work for us and helps us build the kind of imagery about our brand in that consumer's mind.
Hi, Jatan. Animesh this side. So you mentioned that like when you are developing a new product, you talk to the customers, right? So since like Perfora mostly is hardware-based products, how does the feedback loop works? Since like
What based product? Sorry.
hardware-based products, like so in software you can have very quick feedback loops, and like talking to users and the users actually using the products, that is quite different. So how do you incorporate that feedback into your products?
Animesh, the what we're trying to do when we're trying to introduce a new product, we're trying to understand the pain points of the customer here. In this case, in our category, there is almost like a 99% chance that people would be brushing their teeth, right? People would be using a toothpaste and a toothbrush, or people would have visited a dentist in their lifetime. So we try and sort of understand what are their pain points, right? For example, a lot of people would say, every time I eat food, and I'm telling you this from real conversations, I have a bad breath, and that bad breath does not go away. Unfortunately, I cannot carry a mouthwash bottle in my bag or in my pocket because it's not feasible. I need something more handy. I need something that gives me instant freshness. And honestly, I am not someone who eats chewing gums because it is too much sugar, right? So what is the solution for me? Can you design a solution for me, right? Because you have to solve for fresh breath. So these are the different kinds of insights that we get when we speak to those customers with respect to a product, right? We try and understand, okay, is cavity a big concern for you? Is teeth whitening a big concern for you? Is fresh breath a big concern for you? Etc. etc.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Hi, Jatan. So I have a question. So you mentioned, I have two questions for you. So one is, how much do you spend for your acquisition and how much do you spend for your retention? Okay. And my second question is, in retention, which is your best channel? Is it email? Is it WhatsApp? Or is it SMS? So that is something I wanted to know, specifically as you guys are into the oral space industry.
So we spend somewhere around 600 odd rupees today at our current scale to acquire a customer, which is phenomenally high, a number that I'm not proud of. And I was also thinking, should I be saying it out loud? But it is what it is, right? Hopefully next year, if I'm at EngageMint, this number should be half of it, or probably 50% lower of what the number looks like today. And we spend around 20% of our new customer CAC to retain a customer, to engage with them, because retention does not happen only with owned media channels. Owned media channels are, WhatsApp, SMSs, and emails, right? It also happens through meta ads, because you will have a retention funnel where if you've bought an electric toothbrush from us, our next goal is to sell you a toothpaste, right? Or our next goal is to sell you a mouthwash or a water flosser. So you will be part of our retention marketing funnel, but we'll spend anywhere between 20 to 25%. In terms of what channel works for us, WhatsApp works the best, and I think that is the case with most consumer brands out there. But our email also does a great job. I think WhatsApp, because it's a very personal channel, and a lot of brands can directly communicate with customers, it tends to work better. But I think what I am personally very proud of the work that we're doing here at Perfora is that we've been able to build something very differentiated and at scale with email. So, for example, our email open rates are about 42%, right? The kind of click-through that we get is about 1.5 to 2% on every email, which gives us a lot of conversion as well.
And do you think email works well? Is it because of the tier 1 audience, or how is your audience been segregated?
Email works good for us because of the content that we are sharing with our audience, right? If you happen to subscribe to Perfora emailers, you will see out of every 5 emails, only 2 emails are talking about product or discounts, etc. 3 emails will be talking about things that are not directly related to selling or directly not related to oral care. And the idea is to bring a smile on your face, right? So the next time you see a Perfora email notification, you are more likely to open it, right? And once you open it, you're more likely to click on it. And if you click on it, there is some probability that you'll end up buying.
You're saying value-based email or value-based content works. Is that how you meant? Or
Not so value in the sense the content need not be transactional. It need not talk about here I have 5 colors in electric toothbrush, I have a toothpaste, etc., etc. That's not the value. The value is how can we emotionally connect with our
end
customer,
user.
right? How can we try and sort of tell them, okay, hey, this is different, so you should start looking forward to opening our emails. That is the value that we're adding. It's a different form of content.
Got it, got it. Yeah, thanks. I think that answers my questions.
One last
Hi.
question.
Yeah. So I think of myself as a Perfora loyalist right now, but with
Means a
my
lot.
Thank you. So I think with my third order, what I thought was that let me just order everything that I want right away, right? And in the WebEngage podcast, you mentioned that your flosser is the ultimate product. That is the goal. You want people to buy that. अब मैंने वो भी खरीद लिया है. अब मैं 1-1.5 साल तक I won't buy anything. So what is next for a customer like me? Does Perfora does this situation work for you?
So it's a very relevant question. The idea, there are two ways we look at it. One, since you mentioned in the introduction that you're a Perfora loyalist, right? We would want you to either recommend our products to someone, and sometimes you would end up buying on someone else's behalf, right? That, okay, hey, I want to gift it to someone because I love the product, I love the brand, so let me gift it to a close friend of mine, to a sibling of yours, to a partner of yours, to your parents, etc., etc. That is one on how can we drive more repeat purchases. Second, we are also, like, for example, if you've bought a water flosser and electric toothbrush, and if you haven't bought a toothpaste, our objective would be to make you try our toothpaste so that you can experience how different we are. And if you've already bought it, then and if you've not bought in the 3-month time period, then we'll try and sort of call you up and understand what is stopping you to buy again. Are you not buying again because you don't like the product, or you like the product but you're buying it from a different channel altogether, which could be Amazon or a quick commerce like Blinkit, Instamart, etc. If it is the latter, that you're continuing to buy products but from a different channel, we're happy because you're still a customer. But if you've not liked the product, then we'll try and make some changes to the product and take more constructive feedback from you and go back to the drawing board and make some changes. That's how we approach it.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
WebEngage. Retention simplified.